If you have so far believed that you can move anonymously in crypto as long as you don't have an interface to an exchange, then unfortunately I have to correct you now. That is far from the case. At least if you are working with stablecoins, what I mean I will now explain to you in detail. And especially what you should perhaps pay a little attention to. And of course there is also the trading setup. So let's dive right in. See you after the intro. Now, new UP-Trend VEP trading. Your opportunity to copy the signals of two professional traders for free. They managed to grow an account from $4,000 to $30,000 within 2 months. The results in the group are also impressive. All you need for this is a deposit of $100 into your BingX account. You can find all further information below in the description. I strongly assume that if you're into crypto news, you typically don't use an exchange to gather all your funds, but rather you have them in an unhosted wallet like Metamask, Trustwallet, etc. Or in a hardware wallet. And now I also assume that you will use part of it for speculation, but you will most likely also hold another part in stablecoins because you say, well, the volatility, which we now accept, is quite strongly felt, and we don't want to have that all the time. So we use stablecoins. Now, perhaps you weren't even aware until now that USDT, and also USDC, by the way, can set a so-called blacklist. This means that these stablecoins can be frozen on your wallet. This means, on the one hand, you can no longer send stablecoins there, but you also can't send any from there. Of course, this doesn't apply to all the other assets. I'll get to the technical details in a moment. In any case, if you're wondering, okay, has something like this ever happened in the past? Yes, friends, something like this has indeed happened in the past. For example, we had the case with Venezuela, where USDT then became active. Some of you might also remember this event. And I want to say that I am, of course, a supporter when 225 million US dollars are frozen in connection with human trafficking. So far, so good. However, maybe some of you still remember, this exchange called FTX was relatively small at that time. No, kidding aside, so the thing where the part went bankrupt, or rather went down, there was a precedent, because up to that point, there was always the principle, okay, if now a governmental order comes, then the Tether are frozen. In the case of FTX, however, it was different, because nearly 46 million US dollars were frozen from one of the wallets of the troubled crypto exchange without any court order. And at this point, a big thank you to you. Absolutely wild. Almost 4,000 views. And the video hasn't been up for very long yet. Online. I'm doing it with a delay this time. The video exceptionally. Still already 237 likes. Maybe we'll break the 300 mark here as well. Or with today's video. And therefore you are warmly invited, if you want to support some hours of research a bit and think, yes, what Daniel does isn't too bad, then feel free to leave a free like now. And if this might be your first video and you're asking yourself, yes, Daniel, what do you actually do? Here you see it. Crypto news. Honest, factual, file-based, neutral, transparent, without hype, plus a daily trading setup. If you're interested in that, then feel free to leave a free subscription now and activate the bell so you don't miss any important information. And now we continue. So we can now draw the interim conclusion that we are clearly at the mercy of Tether's arbitrariness. And if you look a little further here, well, I'll get to that in a moment. To the alternative, however, we also encounter the risks behind it. Then one can say it has already shot up extremely. So if we take a look in 2017, we're talking about just 30 USDT that were frozen. In 2018, not even 50K. And even in 2019, it was less than 2 million. 2024, 523.9 million USDT frozen. All right, we can also see where the trend is heading. And apparently, how quickly it can happen that a wallet, which supposedly operates somewhere in the DeFi space, is far from being secure, from having the USDT frozen. A very brief note on this, the technical explanation. So this blacklist function is located in the smart contract. And thus, various blockchain sizes, Ethereum, Tron, whatever, anywhere USDT exists, wallet addresses can be blacklisted. And then exactly that happens. You can't send anything there anymore, like no USDT, for example, but also all the USDT on it are accordingly blocked. This does not apply to all other assets on the wallet. So that's very important. Here, Tether or Circle do not have the ability to lock the entire wallet. But, of course, everything else that pertains to these stable coins as such, they have jurisdiction over, and to take away any glimmer of hope directly, as I just mentioned, for anyone who now says, well, then you just don't use USDT anymore. But USDT also has no chance. The same applies here, especially since I believe it's a different situation with Circle, as they are also MiCA compliant. So what are the alternatives now? You could use DAI, for example, formerly known as MakerDAO. That would be one option at least. One of the stable coins, I did a bit of research on this, which I personally know and where I would say I have a bit more trust. However, it should always be noted that it depends on which assets are backed, and consequently, how risky this stable coin is. So with DAI, there is a smart contract, and there are various crypto assets such as Ethereum, Wrapped, BTC, USDT, etc. as collateral, deposited in this smart contract. But that doesn't mean that nothing can ever go wrong. Regarding security, I personally believe that USDT and USDC are built the most securely. So feel free to write in the comments what you think about it and also whether you even knew about this. And now we come to the main pressing question. When is Tether, for example, allowed to freeze your assets? So, of course, at the current time, what we have experienced is naturally the point, okay, if people are on a sanctions list, if there are any serious crimes involved, if it concerns terrorism, financing, money laundering, or whatever, then I am completely in agreement that this access exists. For me, this almost has, well, the sympathy of a CBDC, but let's just leave that aside for now. That's my personal opinion. Only now in the current case, we have MyCA, we have DEXI8. So that's much, much stricter than MyCA because, for example, with DAC8, the €1,000 limit threshold simply disappears. Everything has to be tracked. If you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely check it out. Click here. In any case, we have a travel rule and so on. Could the EU possibly go ahead now and say, yes, okay, so on the wallet? And that's where we have our concerns. With DAC8, there's no longer any talk of, yes, we need to protect the citizens. And the risk of terrorism, financing, and money laundering, that's what it's about right away. Wait a minute, we're talking about tax evasion here. And that's the big question at this point, which let me say right away, I can't explain whether it could happen or not. However, I am quite sure that the authorities can become a bit clever when it comes to tax revenue, because that's different from when a citizen is harmed by some scam. In the first step, the state is not responsible for that. So, apologies for the sarcasm at this point, but it's really intense. What I've been able to witness over the past few years, where I think if it had been about your money, then it would probably be something completely different. And therefore, who knows, maybe the EU will come up with the idea to pull out one or the other wallet and say, okay, friends, all right, this is suspected of tax evasion, as an example. And then it could really look like certain stablecoins are simply frozen, regardless of whether it's on the hardware wallet or the unhosted wallet. So folks, I find it absolutely sharp and strong that this is happening, that on one hand, people are railing against CBDCs. And in the end, we basically have exactly the same thing, only now it's a company behind it and not an ECB, for example, which has complete sovereign rights over your wallet. So I won't be too pessimistic about it, but I do find it intense. As I said, feel free to write in the comments. But now let's get to the trading setup. Right away, I'm recording this the evening before, but I'm assuming, hopefully, that nothing extreme happens, like some post from Trump coming out of nowhere or something. Otherwise, it should still be pretty consistent by the time it's published tomorrow. Let's take a look. First of all, if you're looking for an exchange where you can trade without KYC, then feel free to check out FEMEX. The link is in the description below, which I negotiated for the community. And also if you want to have a deposit bonus. If you deposit $100, you get $25 credited to your futures account, credited. And if you deposit $500, even $80. Let's start with Bitcoin. So it has become quite volatile today. The exact zones I predicted have also been reached. And in general, the overall market has also slipped down significantly today. My personal assumption, so here. Below, there is also a zone that I have consistently mentioned. Could be targeted. And as it looks to me right now, it very much looks like this area will be tested again. One can hope that it doesn't go further down, but all in all, it doesn't look very appealing right now. Let's take a look at the 1 hour view of Bitcoin as it stands currently. I would strongly suspect that this area down here around 81,260, we would be very close to this liquidation zone, therefore possibly with a certain short dip downwards and then back up, similar to what happened here, that we will definitely target this area again. So we clearly see a downtrend here that cannot be denied. If it should continue to go down, then it could also hit this area, or as a last anchor, this zone would be here, which could really fire downwards quite riskily, because then it looks really thin if we should fall below this area. Now, a brief note on this. The 4 hour view doesn't look any different. We had the rejection right on point here, up here. And now it's continuing in this direction again. So if we look here, we had November 5th. November, the election of Trump, the pump upwards, and now this vector candle, which hasn't been touched at all so far, is being gradually worked through cleanly here. So, as I said, we have to wait and see where we might fall, but we can see it here too. It would be effectively like this here. The next area, if nothing happens here, because there was relatively little trading in between, as you can see here, it could indeed happen that we really drop below the 70K mark, maybe even down to 64, 65. I don't want to paint the devil on the wall, because we can all calculate what will happen with Bitcoin. But right now, it doesn't look like a trend reversal. Something would first need to happen in the traditional markets. Well, we'll see that again next week. But those are just, the tariffs are topic number one. Looking further at Ethereum, it also looks quite bleak there. This is currently the hourly view, and you can see right now, at the time of recording, we are in a very, very critical zone. So this is exactly the area where there were relatively many tests, once here, and now here. It's almost like a kind of consolidation phase in a very small area. Only if there is no support here, it should go up and the bulls take over the reins. Then it can very easily continue to go down, and then we would be somewhere in this area. And yes, that would already be quite bad, right? That means somewhere around 1750 plus or minus. So yes, we're back to the topic. Everyone is talking about it and saying, hey, the institutions are investing in Ethereum like crazy. How can it be that it's going down? It should actually, it should. But actually, one doesn't really say actually. Here now, a very quick look at the daily view. This is now the only glimmer of hope we still have. We are still within the symmetrical triangle. Therefore, one could hope that perhaps there will be another rejection upwards here and then wish for the phenomenal breakout. But currently, it doesn't look like that. Also concerning the news topics as such. Last look now at XRP. And it doesn't look too great there either. So, we are seeing repeated testing around the line in the symmetrical triangle. If that doesn't hold, then this area here could easily become the next point of interest. Somewhere around plus or minus 2.03. And if that doesn't hold sustainably, I know no one wants to hear this, but then we might have to prepare for the worst case around the line here. Find ourselves below again. That should be it for now. If anything significant changes overnight, I will definitely provide an update in my Telegram group regarding the market situation. Otherwise, feel free to share your opinion in the comments, including what you think about the stable coins. And If you liked the video and would like to support me a little, then feel free to leave a free like. Otherwise, I can give you a tip. In conclusion, I talked about it 2 days ago, what the SPD is planning to abolish the 1-year holding period. What this means for us, why this fiasco is so significant, you should watch the video. Otherwise, we'll see each other in the next update tomorrow. Until then, all the best. Bye.